Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. And today here we have got Dr. Shishir Gubnani with us, and so we'll be diving deep into his journey, how he has been here. The first question which I got for you is that many people don't know about your journey. So could you just take us through your journey, that in a nutshell, like how you got till here?
My journey was kind of interesting in a way that this place, Amla town, was still a small town, and schooling was a bit difficult in a way that there were very less number of English medium school at my time. So my schooling were from hopping from one school to another. It was kind of that. So I had done my primary schooling from FO school. Then I went to Aradhana Convent School from 6 to 8. 9th and 10th I have done from Little Flower Higher Secondary School, which is in Betul. I used to do up down by train. And 11th in 11th I got admission in KV Amla. So 11th and 12th I have done KV Amla. I have taken drop for 1 year. That is from Bhopal. And then I got admission in Gandhi Dental College and Hospital Jabalpur for my BDS. So I have done my BDS from there. And then I came back to Amla.
Do you explain this term called BDS?
Yeah, BDS is the basically bachelor degree for doing this dental practice. So we call it as Bachelor of Dental Surgery, and it is similar, equivalent to MBBS. What you do for medical practice, BDS is for dental practice.
Okay.
And yeah, so it is different course from MBBS in a way that for if you want to practice medicine, if you want to do any specialization, first you have to do MBBS and then you have to do MD or MS in that specialization. But in BDS directly you do a specialization in dentistry. So you study basic stuff about human body, all the basic sciences what you study in MBBS. Plus you study extra about your oral cavity and teeth and the materials and the techniques used for treatment in this.
Okay.
So it's a different course from the first year only. Actually, we have all the common subjects till third year, but we have each year we have extra subjects about dentistry. And in final year we have dental specialty subjects only. Then a year of internship. Then we get our degree. So I got degree from Rani Durgavati University, from which our college was affiliated. And then I just when I completed my internship, then and there only I started. Months later, I started my clinic here in this town. So my the construction of my clinic and everything was we started planning even before completion of my BDS, my internship.
Okay.
So we got just a month between my completion and opening of my clinic.
Okay.
So and then I started the clinic here, and then I got married in year 2000. I opened my clinic in August 2010. I got married in April 2011, and then in 2012 I started going to Three Air Force Hospital Amla as a visiting dental surgeon. I used to visit there twice a day, and I visited there for 5 years, like from 12 to 16. And then I used to have a satellite clinic in Multai also. There I used to visit 3 days a week. So I used to have, but that clinic is now off, and I'm totally focused in my clinic only.
Okay. So like, how did this dentist thing like popped up in your head? Like, when did you decide that this is the course which I wanna do?
Actually, I never wanted to be a doctor.
Okay.
So, like when I was a kid, I always wanted to be scientist. Like every kid, I think wants to be scientist to discover or invent something by himself or herself.
Okay.
But then slowly, when I started growing up, I found out that I like maths a lot. And when I was in school, it's like only 2 things were going on. Either you become a doctor or an engineer. So since I liked maths, I thought, okay, let's be engineer. But my father had a medical store, so he wanted me to do pharmacy course and help him in the shop. So I was okay with that also. But then suddenly he told So then things changed, and then I started preparing for PMT, pre-medical test,
Okay.
to get admission in like MBBS. But my score was little less, so I couldn't get admission in MBBS.
Are you happy right now?
Yes, definitely. Sometimes decision taken by your parents are right for you.
Okay. So what makes you happy?
Like, since feel I'm contented with what I have,
Okay.
that's the most important thing, to be happy. So that is the reason why I'm happy, because I'm contented with what I have. I'm satisfied with what
Okay.
I have, and mm, I am in peace with my past.
Okay.
I'm in peace with the decisions I have made in my past, and I'm in peace with the decisions my parents have made for me
Okay.
in the past, and still they make decisions for me. I live with my parents, so that's Indian family for you. No matter how much grown up you are, you have to listen to your parents in sometimes very small decisions also. But that's the way it's good, and that's the charm of it. That's the charm of Indian family. That you live together, you stay happy together. If there is some bad thing going on, if there is some sadness, you share that too and overcome that soon.
Yeah, so like the other day we had one conversation, and you said that, like, I asked you this question, that are you successful? So you said, so how do you define success?
So for me, success is something which everyone has their own definition.
Okay.
So for me, success is like being, what I told you, being at peace and happy is success. And I don't feel making other people happy should count in it, but still, since I'm a human, I feel ki the near and dear ones to me, especially very close one, my kids, my family, my parents,
Okay.
and my close friends, if I feel ki I make them also happy, so that I find that I define as success. Matlab, I don't define success career wise or financial or money wise. I don't, because then you cannot compare it.
Yeah.
And obviously happiness also you cannot compare, but if someone is happy, he's happy. Someone is at peace, uh, is at peace. But if you have money, if you say ki I have earned this much, so you cannot, because if you have earned say a lakh rupees per month, so someone is earning more than that, many people are earning more than that, and many times then more than that, and so many people earning less than that. So how you can say it as success? And if you say ki I am this in my career, like I've become a dental surgeon, or I am in this position, so many others are also there.
Yeah.
So how you can say ki, because if you are at level, you can achieve more. Since you can achieve more, you cannot say you are successful. But if you say I'm happy, there is nothing more to achieve.
Yeah, right.
So that is the upper limit, that is the sky limit. You are at peace, you are happy. So that is the definition. I think nobody can overcome and say, I am more happy than you. There it cannot be that. If I say ki I'm happy, so that's it. Because I can only say I'm happy or not.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
if I'm happy and peaceful, and if I can make my near and dear ones happy with me, so I feel that like a success. I'm more of a family man. And that was the reason, the primary reason I came back to Amla, because my family is here, my close friends was here, so I wanted to live with my parents. So that was one of the reason why I chose Amla to start my dental practice.
So, like, what changed your mentality? Like, when did you think that, or what helped you in thinking that I want to set up my clinic in Amla?
So that thing is, I was very clear from the word go.
Okay.
Like when I completed my final year, that time only there was no confusion in my mind that I want to do anything else.
Okay.
Because it was like 5 years, 1 year dropped in Bhopal and 4 years in Jabalpur.
Okay.
5 years I was away from home. And it was like, it's done, I'm done with it. 1 more year for internship, I have to be there. Then I want to be at home. I want that. So it was this thing. because my parents and my teachers also wanted me to do post graduation, but since I wanted to be with my parents, post graduation in dentistry of 3 years. So I have to take 1 year drop to prepare for it, and 3 years, so 4 more years. And I think if I would have done post graduation, then I would have not been in Amla. So I wanted to serve the people of Amla also.
Okay.
Because see, if I am being from Amla, born and brought up here, and I am not going to come back and serve the people of Amla, then nobody else is going to do it. It is going to be very rare that someone from outside coming to this small place, because everyone wants to go to a bigger town, bigger city, bigger place. Because so it was difficult for me to come back from, because I was living in Jabalpur, which is kind of a big city compared to Amla. It's a huge city, and so it was difficult for me to get settled. But since my goal was clear that I want to set up in my Amla, because this is me, and that's why the name of my clinic is also Amla. It's Amla Dental Care. It's not my name, it's not my parents' name, it's not my kids' name, not my wife's name from the word go. And there was no confusion. I wanted to keep the name of the clinic on the name of this town, because I love it. I love my town, it's my hometown. And I always wanted to serve the people here. And also one of my aunts and other people were going to Betul and Nagpur for treatment, the dental treatment. So I thought, if someone from their family is becoming a dental surgeon and they want treatment and still they cannot get it, they have to go to other places, then what's the use of doing it? So, and I think my decision was right. At that time I didn't know it will go this well. But then when I saw people coming from villages near Amla, because coming to Amla also is a big thing for them. So Betul, there was no dental surgeon at that point in Amla, and still this is the only clinic. Me and my wife are the only two dental surgeons in Amla. So the nearest is in the Betul, used to be in Betul only. So for them to go to Betul, it was a big financial burden. They have to lose the work of one whole day. So all those things when I experienced, so I thought it was a great decision to settle in Amla.
One thing fascinated me a lot from the conversation which we had lately, that you got married when you were 23.
Yeah.
So I think
I was 24, almost 24.
Almost 24. Okay.
Yeah.
So was that too early for you, or did you think through it that okay, I'm ready for marriage now?
See, I was ready for it, but I wanted to wait a bit more actually, but not too much more. I wanted to wait 6 months more. But since my parents wanted that it's the right time, we should not delay it, so I went with the flow. So because it was I didn't want to make it a delay because I didn't want to get married. I just wanted to get settled little bit more. Because I opened my clinic in August, like in 2010. It was not even one complete year. And before that, so I didn't have financially, I was not strong that time. So that was the only reason I wanted to wait a bit more. Nothing else. It was not like I will not be able to adjust, or I am not mature enough to make a family or make a balance in the family, because if a new person comes in the family, it's the whole new dimension is there. So that was all not my thought. The only thing was I thought I should have a little bit bank balance. So then only I should get married, and I should be able to support me and my wife at least well. So that was my thought. But since I had a little study earning, so I thought I should go with the flow, and I agreed with my parents, and I got married in April 2011.
What's that one thing which has changed in you, like Dr. Shishir, or the person you are before getting married and after getting married? So what's that one thing which has changed?
So it's very difficult to pinpoint one thing, because I've changed a lot,
Okay.
and I cannot say the reason is married because I'm married.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to know a thing which changed because I got married, is I can't say I'm changed much
Okay.
because of marriage. Because I've known Richa from before only, before I got married to her, and nothing much changed in my life except that I was living with her.
Okay.
So I was always kind of adjusting in nature, so I didn't have any problem in, and since she is so good at adjusting, so I didn't have to change much. Only thing is, things started change when I become a father. Then changes started. matlab The level of maturity started getting little up, and that time was a little turning point
Okay.
because marriage was I like it was in a flow and nothing much changed in me.
Okay.
Like I didn't change much after the marriage. uh, Obviously you start to take little bit more the responsibility, but that's I don't think it's much of a change. That's the part of process only.
Like, how did you feel when you held Abhyuday for the first time in your hands?
So that is a big story because I was not there when he was born. I was in a train
Okay.
because we conceived, we got Abhyuday delivered little bit earlier.
Okay.
So there was some situation and she got admitted a little bit earlier. She was in Jabalpur only, and I got the news in the morning, and there was no direct train
Okay.
to Jabalpur in the morning. So I got in a bus and I went to Betul, and then from Betul to Tarsi. Then I've taken a train and then changed the train. But by that time, they've taken the decision. I was on the phone with them. So it was a C-section, and when I went there, so I went to Richa to know how she is,
Okay.
and then I went to Abhyuday, and it was I would not say the moment I held it was like blazing or something like that or blissful something like that. It was good feeling because I knew from last 9 months that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So when we first time knew that we conceived Abhyuday, that we are pregnant,
Okay.
that time the level of happiness was like skyrocketed and we were very happy.
Okay.
But when he happened, so it was like normal. But I was very happy to see him. I still have the feeling in my mind. I still can feel that moment. He was like cotton wool. It was so soft to touch, and the feeling, I think I will never forget that feeling. So it was like that. It was like cotton wool, and he was very red. And I saw him pink, dark pink. He was quite red and very heavy. So it was like that, and I was too tired of the journey from morning to night, and I was happy to see both of them healthy. That was the main concern you have at that time. Other things wash off your mind that, oh, I'm a father, oh, it's good. All those things you don't think at that moment of time. Sometimes other people may see why this is why he is not very happy, why he is not showing. Because if you see me next day I was very happy because I know everything is under control, and I was happy, and I was calling everybody and telling everybody, and I bought sweets, and I gave sweets to the nurses and to the other patients and everybody in the hospital and all that. That happens little later because that I think, and I have seen my friends also going to same thing. That day they are very happy. Everyone is happy. Obviously, if you have a child, it's one of the happiest moment of your life. But you are concerned that time about the health because you know everything, understand everything. So you are concerned about those things at that moment of. So it was like that.
So like next question which I got for you is that what's your 3 piece of advice for a fatherhood?
So one thing first I'll say कि today the younger generation and those who are getting married now, and I think in last 2 to 3 years, people are little afraid of becoming a parent.
Okay.
So they most of the time they think they are not ready for it.
Okay.
So I just want to tell that first piece of advice, Vicky, you are never ready and you are always ready. You are never ready because until and unless you have one, you don't know how it feels and how it goes. And once you have it, you know what you want to do and what to do. You feel ki you will not know what to do, but once you have the kid, you know what to do and it will come to you naturally. Second piece of advice I'll give ki one should try to spend as much time with their kid as possible. Generally, some of them, usually most of the parents try to spend most of the time with the kid. But in our society, it happens that mother get to spend more time with the kid, even when the kid is like a year old or 2 year old.
Yeah.
And before that, it's mother only because he's on a feed and all that.
Yeah.
But when your kid started walking and all, so I think the father should also be involved in what he's learning, and you should talk to him or her, and you should talk to him as a person. Don't talk to him as he's a kid
Yeah. And you are an adult.
and you are an adult.
Yeah.
So that kind of relationship you should be there.
Yeah, that creates that boundary between you and your kid. Like if you are being an adult and talking to a kid, so he or she kind of feels that someone else is talking to me. But
Yeah.
if you just be like a kid and then you talk to
Yeah.
like you have to match that frequency, right?
That is, you actually don't want to match, you don't have to match it. It should come naturally.
Yeah.
And you should just because if you are talking to someone else's kid, you have to have those boundaries.
Yeah.
That person, that is a kid, and you can talk certain things to him or her, or certain things you should not talk.
Yeah.
But with your kid, you can talk everything, whatever you want. You should talk to him or her as he or she is a person, not a small kid.
Yeah.
It's like that, and I think they understand everything. We think they don't understand, but I think they understand everything. Whatever you want to make them understand, whatever you want them to learn from you, they can learn. And third piece of advice is, don't try to teach your kid anything. Just do that yourself, and
Okay.
they'll copy it.
Okay.
It's the easiest way to teach your kid. Anything you want to teach. If you want them to brush twice a day, you just brush twice a day in front of them. They'll snatch the brush from you and they will scream that they want their own brush, they want their own piece, and they want to do it.
Yeah.
And if you will say, do it, and you are not doing it in front of them, they'll say, no, we don't want to do it, and we just want to paste to eat and everything. So this is an example. So whatever you want your kids to be doing, sometimes you want your kids to have healthy food, and they say you are having snacks and everything. So they'll also think we should have that only. But if you are having the same thing now, because initially kids have everything from your plate.
Yeah.
They want to snatch something from your plate and eat that.
Yeah.
And so they'll make a habit of that only. Whatever you are doing, whatever you are eating. So third piece of advice will be, what you want your kid to learn, do that yourself, and your kid will learn automatically. No efforts needed.
Yeah, and like I have seen, especially in current scenario, that many a times there is a age difference between, or there's that boundary and gap between parents and kids. That shouldn't be there, but I've seen many parents doing that.
Yeah.
So, do you think that that's the thing which is missing out in the current parent?
Like,
See, I will say I am from kind of a mid generation. See, my parents, that time the things were little different.
yeah.
See, it was mother who will be with the kid, father will earn the livelihood,
Yeah.
and most of my friends also will fear from the father a bit. Father will be the disciplinary one, will make the discipline in the house, and mother who will love everyone and everything. So it was like that. But things have changed. Now I think fathers feel more close to their kids. They talk more. There are quite less boundaries with them. So things are changing a lot.
Okay.
And the newer generation are understanding that quite a bit. So it's not a problem. You just feel you are not ready until you are having it. And I think few of them, those who run more after money, or some are in a condition they have to, and some are doing by the way that they want to earn more for their kid.
Yeah.
Some have to, because some are in a situation if they don't earn the basic things, they will not able to fulfill.
Yeah.
And some those who have enough for the basic things, they want more for their kids.
Yeah.
So I think that is what making them make the decision about how should be with their kids. And actually that should not be the driving force. The driving force is how you want to be with your kid. So it's like that. So I think the current generation feel lesser boundaries with their kids. It's not like they feel more boundaries. Yeah, age gap, because nowadays since we are getting married late, so we are having kid even more late. So there is a big physical age difference also.
Right.
But I think it depends on person to person how they go with their kid. It's not, we cannot generalize the fact that they feel boundaries and all that. But we were raised like that, so some of us find little difficult to be different from our parents. Generally, we behave like our parents behaved with us. So we have, if we want to break that boundary, we have to behave differently. And most of the parents of this generation is behaving absolutely differently. Parents, fathers are absolutely contributing in raising their kids equally almost, because generally both the mother and the father are working in the current scenario.
Yeah.
So that is also making father to spend more time with the kid.
Right.
So that is, I think, a very good thing actually.
When you were growing up, so was there anything which your parents told you, and that same thing which you want to pass on to your kids, like Abhyudan and Mansoor?
Like, I spend most of my time with my mother, less with father.
Okay.
So I've learned so many things from both of them. But the thing is ki I don't want to tell exactly anything which my mother told me or which my father told me,
Okay.
because I think I'm a different person from my mother and my father. So I teach things of my own, and I have a different way from my mother. I'm not saying the way my mother did. I think it's what absolutely bang on how it should be. She did it that way, but my way is a different way. So, but the basic thing which I learned from my mother is you should be honest with your kids, and that will really help. So one thing I also try to be honest with my kids, both the kids. So that really helps me, and to reason with them sometimes when they get unreasonable and they get little cranky. And one thing which I learned from my father is that I should value everything. I should not waste anything. So that thing also I try to make them learn, because present day scenario, the kids, they have lots of things, they have lots of resources, and they have access to so many things which we don't used to have. So I try them to make them learn what I have learned from my father, to value things and the monetary value of it, and if you have something you should value it. You should not throw it anything. So that they stay connected to the ground. They are grounded, like, because they have all the resources. They should not think that they have earned it. They should know it's given to us, and we should value it. So these two things which I learned from my mother and father, I try to. But generally the things I told my kids it's my own, because it's from my own experience.
Like, one thing, it's that question just now popped up in my mind, that how is it like having a baby boy and a baby girl?
It's absolutely different experience.
Okay.
It's not the same at all.
Okay.
And I have heard that from almost all the parents. That it's so different to raise a boy and to raise a girl, because the way they behave, the thinking process, it's not all the kids are same. It's not like that. A boy behaves differently, and a girl behaves very differently. So it's like that. So it's quite a different experience, and since it's a different experience, both the experiences are very enjoyable. because if you are having a new experience, obviously you enjoy more.
Yeah, right.
It's not repetition at all. Some few things, obviously kids do the same things, but both of my kids are so different, and their childhood, like when Abhyuday was young, like 1 year, 2 year old, like Manasvi is now, he used to behave so differently than how she behaves. So it's it's completely different experience.
Okay.
So it's not comparable at all, and that's the beauty of it, I think.
I know you are into fitness, like you have got your own gym.
Yeah.
So how, like, when did you think that I wanna have my own gym?
I never wanted to have my own gym. I just there was a point in my life when I thought ki I'm a little bit overweight. I was never like very heavy,
Okay.
and I like my whole life I was like till my marriage I was thin,
Okay.
and I was kind of earlier I was a little bit underweight, and then I was like at par with my weight,
Okay.
but I was not muscular at all. That genetically I was never muscular. I have a little bit of pot belly, even when I was thin.
Okay.
So it was I didn't never had a flat stomach.
Okay.
So obviously it was like that. But then after marriage, slowly I started gaining a little bit of weight, and then I thought, "Ki, now it's the time that I should control my weight." So that it's better, because once you gain weight too much, it's difficult to control them.
Yeah.
So then I started a little bit of exercising, and I bought one equipment at a time. I never thought I would have a gym. I just bought one equipment earlier, and then I saw I'm doing it regularly. Then I bought some more equipments like a bench and dumbbells and all that. And once you actually started doing the strength training, the dumbbell, once you started doing the weights,
Yeah.
then you go into it. Then it's like a habit, and I thought it was a very good habit. And it was very recent, and Abhyuday was like a 1-2 year old that time, only a 2 or I think 3 year old. That time only I started buying this equipment, and he used to copy me, and he used to come to me with in my gym. So I thought, this is a very positive impact on Abhyuday, because he into exercises from the word. I was not into exercises when I was young. I was just my whole exercise whatever I was playing,
Okay.
and the PT in the school, nothing more. But I saw Abhyuday doing things, asking for workouts from me, what exercises he should do, what kind of dumbbells he should do. So all that, that makes me more getting more interested in this exercising and gymming. So it was like that. I joined the gym in Amla. I went there for like 2 months before opening getting my own equipments. But it was I didn't feel like a gym was okay. There was quite a bit of equipment. They were old, but they were all functional.
Okay.
But the people coming there, it was I didn't felt the right frequency with it, and it was like it was difficult for me to go there, because sometimes it rains, so the continuity was not there. So I thought, let's buy our own equipment. My wife can also do with it, and my parents also, if they want, they can do with it. So I started little bit by little bit. I started getting my own equipments, and as I get interested, then I gained knowledge also. I saw YouTube videos how to do exercises, how to do certain exercises, and then I got to know which equipment is better or not. And slowly, then I had so much equipments and dumbbells that I can say it is a home gym.
So this is your like physical fitness part.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the mental fitness part. Like, how do you maintain your mental health?
See, actually, I always wanted to do meditation,
Okay.
keep mental strength going and mental energy up to the mark as we do with the body.
Yeah.
Do exercise and eat healthy food.
Yeah.
But generally, I don't do meditation.
Okay.
But
And what's the reason like you don't do it?
nothing in particular, because the reason which is I should not give, but it's time.
Okay.
But it's actually not a fair reason, because half an hour you can easily take out from your 24 hours. But I think I have learned how to do meditation, and sometimes if I want to do, I do it.
Okay.
that is, I think, one thing which can keep your mental health at par. But since I've connected to spirituality from last like 2 to 3 years more, uh, and that from then I think my mental health has improved a lot,
Okay.
even without doing meditation, because I'm less angry now. I'm more at peace now.
Yeah.
So those are the reason I can keep up with my mental health. One thing which I think makes me calm mentally is I can talk it out, whatever is going in my mind. I have people around me who I can talk it out. So nothing in my mind is like it's there only.
Okay.
So nothing in my mind is going on all the time, and you cannot talk about it with anyone. It goes in your mind only, and if you cannot make a decision with it, so it's difficult. If you can make a decision, then it's okay. So I have people around me to whom I can talk it out, and sometimes they help also to if it's a problem to take a decision. And so I think having good family and friends really help you to keep up your mental health. I think it's a huge thing, and especially in these times. So if you have a good friend and a good family, so it's a very huge bonus to it. So I think I have quite a few good friends, and obviously my wife is my best friend, and I can talk everything to her, and everything and anything I can talk to her. So that keeps me mentally calm and peaceful, and my mental health at par, not if not very good. And I think if I start doing meditation, I'll be even more effective. I started taking consensual decisions, so it was not a problem for me that I have now I have to share the decision and I have to make decision by first discussing it. So it was never a problem since, and that is the beauty when you are born and brought up in Indian family.